In this part number 25, having reference to security for keeping the peace and for good behavior, if you go through section 106, which deals with security for keeping the peace on conviction, and it says, when a court of session or court of a magistrate of the first class convicts a person of any one of the offences specified in subsection 2 or of abetting any such offence, and is of opinion that it is necessary to take security from such person for keeping the peace, the court may, at the time of passing sentence on such person, order him to execute a bond with or without sureties for keeping the peace for such period not exceeding 3 years as it thinks fit. The offences referred to in subsection 1 are: A. Any offence punishable under chapter 8 of the Indian Penal Code other than an offence punishable under section 153A or section 153B or section 154 thereof. B. Any offence which consists of or includes assault or using criminal force or committing mischief. C. Any offence of criminal intimidation. D. Any other offence which caused or was intended or known to be likely to cause a breach of the peace. These are the offences as per which, if the person is convicted at the time of passing an order of conviction, the court can ask a person to execute a bond for keeping the peace. Naturally, we will learn rest of the part, but this bond will start running from the date when he will come out of the jail. So when he has undergone a sentence and he is outside the prison, he will have to abide by the bond that is given by him. If the conviction, further part of the section says, if the conviction is set aside on appeal or otherwise, the bond so executed shall become void. And this order, an order under this section may also be made by an appellate court or by a court when exercising its power of revision. Now, this is as far as security for keeping the peace on conviction is concerned. Section 107, security for keeping the peace in other cases, and says, when an executive magistrate receives information that any person is likely to commit a breach of the peace or disturb the public tranquility or to do any wrongful act that may probably occasion a breach of the peace or disturb the public tranquility, and is of the opinion that there is sufficient ground for proceeding, he may, in the manner hereinafter provided, require such person to show cause why he should not be ordered to execute a bond with or without sureties for keeping the peace for such a period not exceeding 1 year as the magistrate thinks fit. So this is as far as security for keeping the peace is concerned in other cases other than conviction. Now, where these proceedings will take place, which executive magistrate, and it says proceedings under this section may be taken before any executive magistrate when either the place where the breach of the peace or disturbance is apprehended is within his local jurisdiction, or there is within such jurisdiction a person who is likely to commit a breach of the peace or disturb the public tranquility or to do any wrongful act as aforesaid beyond such jurisdiction. Generally, when we deal with the jurisdiction as far as criminal courts are concerned, we refer to right from section 177 up to 189, with which we shall be dealing in detail during course of our lecture series. But this is a time where when we which executive magistrate has got power or who has got jurisdiction to deal as far as section 107 of the for keeping the peace is concerned is very clear as far as subclause 2 of section 107 of the criminal procedure code. And what is the procedure? Procedure is laid down right from section 111 onwards, with which we shall be dealing. With this now, security for good behavior, if you read section 108, security for good behavior from persons disseminating seditious matters. It says, when an executive magistrate receives information that there is within his jurisdiction any person who within or without such jurisdiction, either orally or in writing or any other manner, intentionally disseminates or attempts to disseminate or abets the dissemination of any matter, the publication of which is punishable under section 124A or section 153A or section 153B or section 295A of the Indian Penal Code, or any matter concerning a judge acting or purporting to act in the discharge of his official duties which amounts to criminal intimidation or defamation under the Indian Penal Code. And if such person produces, publishes, keeps for sale, imports, exports, conveys, sells, lets to hire, distributes, publicly exhibits, or in any other manner puts into circulation any obscene matter, such as is referred to in section 292 of the Indian Penal Code. And the magistrate is of the opinion that there is sufficient ground for proceeding, the magistrate may, in the manner hereinafter provided, require such person to show cause why he should not be ordered to execute a bond with or without sureties for his good behavior for such a period not exceeding 1 year as the magistrate thinks fit. So this is as far as security for good behavior from persons disseminating seditious matters. With this now, section 109 deals with the cases where security for good behavior from from suspected persons. And it says, when an executive magistrate receives information that there is within his local jurisdiction a person taking precautions to conceal his presence, and that there is reason to believe that he is doing so with a view to committing a cognizable offence, the magistrate may, in a manner hereinafter provided, require such person to show cause why he should not be ordered to execute a bond with or without sureties for his good behavior for such period not exceeding 1 year as the magistrate thinks fit. So this is regarding security for keeping for good behavior from suspected persons. With this now, a executive magistrate can ask habitual offender to execute a bond as far as his good behavior is concerned, and this is dealt by next section, namely section 110, which says security for good behavior from habitual offenders. When an executive magistrate receives information that there is within his local jurisdiction a person who is by a habit a robber, housebreaker, thief or forger, or is by habit a receiver of a stolen property knowing the same to be stolen property, or habitually protects or harbors thieves or aids in the concealment or disposal of stolen property, or habitually commits or attempts to commit or abets the commission of offences of kidnapping, abduction, extortion, cheating, mischief, or any other offence as laid down by subclause small d as far as this section is concerned. habitually commits or attempts to commit or abets the commission of offences involving a breach of peace. Habitually commits or attempts to commit or abets the commission of any offence under one or more of the following acts, namely, and the list is enumerated. And lastly it says, such a person is so desperate and dangerous as to render his being at large without security hazardous to the community. Namely, who is habitual offender? For that, once you start reading section 110 and go through small a to small g, which is a question of enumeration, he is what is known as habitual offender. And the magistrate may, in the manner hereinafter provided, require such person to show cause why he should not be ordered to execute a bond with sureties for his good behavior for such period not exceeding 3 years as the magistrate thinks fit. So this chapter comes into operation which is a preventive measure, asking a person to execute a bond for keeping the peace or for good behavior, so that there is a control with respect to the behavior of an individual. And when he is asked to execute a bond, and again I request you, if you read form number 12 up to form number 17 as far as second schedule of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, you will understand what is bond. Bond is an undertaking, where this bond may be with surety or it may be without surety. As far as section 110 is concerned, bond is always with surety, with surety, with surety. It cannot be without surety, but in rest of the cases it can be with surety or without surety. Now, the procedure that is required to be followed is dealt right from section 111 onwards, with which we shall be dealing as far as next part of our series of lectures is concerned.